Another episode where not a lot happens, but still so damn good. What's up, y'all? It's your man, That Dude, bringing you guys another video. Hey, I'm doing a special on subscriptions. They're free right now, so go down there and click that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Another episode of Ahiru no Sora where not a lot happens to actually progress the story, but yet this episode was still just so good. Just like episode 39 was a great episode, and not a lot happened in that episode either to progress the story that much. But this show is so good at giving you a quality episode that you're invested in, that you care about what's going on in the story, without actually having anything that happens to progress the core story. Like nothing happens in this episode with Kuzuhai and our central characters that's really all that important. Like there's a few things that would maybe notable, but just like things that progress the actual story forward. We don't get a lot of that. We don't even see Kuzuhai until halfway through the episode. The first half of this episode focuses solely on Yokohama and what their team is like and what they're going through and just the dynamics on their team. And it was great. I enjoyed this episode a lot. There was not a minute in this episode where I was disinterested or bored. It's just all around really good episode. I'll say it over and over again. This show does such a great job of just making its world feel real. Like this is world building 101 in anime. Just how to make other characters outside of your main cast feel like fully actualized, feel real. It's almost like following sports in real life, where you have the team you root for and you're more invested in that team, but you're still interested in the teams around the league. You're still interested in what's going on, but maybe your rivals or the other teams in your area, the teams that the team you root for might play against. It's really akin to, just being a sports fan in real life, where all these other things are happening, and so you're invested in them because what happens with these other teams greatly impacts the teams that you care about. And so it's good that this show really gets that concept, because it shows you what's going on with these teams. These teams have their own struggles, their own different dynamics within the team structure, their own hierarchies, their own players that want more playing time and players that are struggling to make the roster and players that are working hard to get better, and they have their own star players. They're fully actualized like entities, those other teams. Or usually in like a sports anime, you have your central team, or your team that the story follows, and you learn about that team. So that team has its up and coming players, its good players, it's like eccentric players, and yada yada yada, every like archetype and stereotype. But no, in Ahiru no Sora, the other teams also follow along in the same mold. They also have their own dynamics. They also have their own kind of characteristics and their own personalities, and that just makes the world feel so real. There's no other way to put it. It just feels like, yes, I'm watching an anime, but I'm watching something that could easily take place in real life. And a lot of times you don't get that in anime. The other teams at Ahiru no Sora feel like actual characters themselves. They feel like important parts of the plot, and not just some monster of the week type deal that Kuzuhai has to defeat. They're not just a weekly stepping stone. Okay, cool, we beat this team, now we go to this team. We beat that team, go to the next team. No, it's not that. These teams are fully actualized entities of their own. They have their own interests, and they have their own goals, and they have the things they're working for, and we get to see that. And so I don't want to keep saying it makes the world feel real, but I can't think of a better way to put it than that. It's so great to see. And it's not to say that other anime don't do something similar, but it's just so great to see it in this one in particular. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Kuroko's no Basketball, or Kuroko's Basketball. Yeah, I wasn't like a big fan of that show. I didn't really watch that much of it because I just didn't like the show all that much. But from what I did see, they did have similar moments. But there's something about anime where the characters have basically like quasi superpowers. You watch Kuroko's Basketball, and it's much like iShield 21, which is my personal like favorite sports anime of all time. So it's not like I'm saying these shows are bad anyway, but the players basically have superpowers on the court or on the field or whatever. Like they're playing their sport, and it doesn't feel like what you're watching can actually take place in real life, can actually take place in a realistic universe. With Ahiru no Sora, that's really not the case. You're watching this, and it could just as easily be taking place in whatever state you live in if you live in the West, or whatever like prefecture you live in if you live in like Japan. But it feels like you could, there's something that you could like see happening in real life. You could be experiencing in real life. It just seems that real, and the stories are that authentic, and the stories are that believable. And I'm not saying that's a superior art form or a superior way to tell the story, because it's not. I love the cartoonish nature of iShield 21, and I love the way they overemphasize the abilities on the field to give you just a better idea of the dynamics and the abilities of different players and what their strong suits are and what their weaknesses are. I like that. I love that show. It's my favorite sports anime of all time. But there is something to be said about having an anime where you can just feel totally invested in a realistic story. I guess I do actually have to talk about what happens with Kuzuhai in this episode, considering they are our central characters. But not a lot really happens to progress the story with them. We get to see them now, like talking with everyone, telling everyone what their new roles on the team are going to be. And we get to see that some people might not be actually all that accepting of their new role. You know, Kenji looking at you. And speaking of Kenji, we see that Kenji is still going to challenge his college player, and he's actually making some progress. He manages to score a basket on the college player, and the college player says, "Don't come back." And he hits Kenji with the realization that, hey, scoring is what's most important. If you can, doesn't matter how you score, because Kenji seems hell bent on, hey, I'm gonna use my speed and shiftiness. I'll blow by my defender, and that's just the way I win because that's the way I play. And his constant practice with this college player has taught him a lesson of, no, you score where you can score. You gain the advantage you can gain against your opponent, and you just take advantage of that. You score however you can, or however the defense lets you. And so he did a little pull-up jumper, and he made it. And I guess that's going to be kind of his epiphany, where he realizes, okay, there are different things I can do to fit within the team dynamic. There are different things I can do to help the team than just being the super quick guy with good handles who can get to the basket. We also see Sora giving Nabe tips on how to shoot. So just a little more evidence to what the story hints at, that Nabe is going to be the team's new shooter if he can develop a shot, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does. It kind of would fit with the story where they're trying to give these the smaller characters just some kind of special skill they can do. So I would imagine that Chucky's going to be next, and just giving him something that he can do. So you make Nabe a shooter, you give Chucky, some other skill, just so on from there. You try to give these guys something they can do to help the team, because eventually us as viewers are going to get frustrated with these guys if every game they play in, they're just like a liability. So I get from a story aspect where you have to give these guys something they can do to help the team. All in all, another great episode of Ahiru no Sora. I have no complaints about this episode, despite the structure of it, and despite not a lot really happening to progress the story. I loved it. These are the kind of episodes that sometimes get labeled as filler, but I don't really see it that way. I see sometimes this is the kind of episodes you need to build out your characters a little more. And so sometimes you gotta take a break from progressing your story just to focus on characters and to focus on the surroundings of your characters. And I feel like that's what this episode did, and I loved it. It was a great episode. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, I'd appreciate if you subscribed and liked if you liked this video. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up, because I like that. I appreciate it. I don't like thumbs down. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.